following are a sequence of movements which you can use to free up the thoracic spine. It's a really common area of tightness. A lot of people don't report pain in their thoracic spine, but the restriction in that area causes pain in either their lumbar spine, the low back, or in their neck, the cervical spine. So what we're going to do now is run through a sequence of manoeuvres or movements which you can use at home to free up that middle back area and take pressure off the top and bottom of your spine. The first and simplest one is simply to use a towel. I'm going to fold it across in thirds, like so. Then we're going to roll it up firmly. So if we place it against the wall, you can use a bench top, anything that you can squeeze it against so that you can pull it taut as you roll it up. So that you get a nice firm cylinder of toweling. What we're going to then do with this is lie down on the floor. Just move the Pilates barrel out of the way. So what we're going to do with the towel is to place it over the apex of the curve in our middle back and lie on it. And just relax all the way back. You can spend a couple of minutes in that position, just relaxing your breathing, feeling a stretch through your rib cage, feeling the pressure across that part of your back. Once you feel that's released a little bit, then you can move your body up or down to change the section of your spine that is subject to the greatest amount of pressure. So if I feel stiff up between the shoulder blades, I'll wriggle my body southwards. Relax back again. And the pressure's moved up a couple of inches higher. Spend a couple of minutes in that position, just stretching it right out. If you want to increase the grade of this technique, you can perform a small crunch maneuver. So cross your hands over your chest, tuck your chin in, lift your body up until it's at that pivot point. Breathe out and sink back. Like so. And that increases the pressure where that towel is pushing against the spine, much like a physiotherapist would mobilise that section of your spine to get those vertebrae moving more freely relative to each other. There's one other exercise which is quite useful to do whilst you're lying on the roll, once you spend a few minutes and really freed up that middle back area, is to do what I call a head sit-up, which is basically a deep neck flexor exercise. So in this position, I tuck my chin in, I tilt my head, but without tucking the chin in, you need to protrude your jaw a little and tuck the head at the same time. It's quite a subtle movement, like so. It also helps if you keep your tongue against the roof of your mouth. That changes the patterning of muscle activity in the flexors and stops you using the wrong muscles. So if I place my tongue against the roof of my mouth, push my chin forwards a little bit, but tuck my head, and then lift up and down. So the movement should be a nice, smooth, curling movement up and curling movement down. What we don't want to see is curling up and snapping back. Must be a curl in both directions. Otherwise the pattern muscle activity won't be correct. Okay. There are other options other than using the rolled up towel. You can use a commercially available Pilates roll. Obviously there's a big difference, so you may start with a small rolled up towel, add another towel to that in time. Once your flexibility is beyond what you can stretch well with a couple of rolled up towels, then you can look at either a Pilates barrel or a Swiss ball, which you can roll out over. Having said that, probably neither of those will give you as much point pressure on your spine as a firmly rolled up towel. If you find that a whole towel is too much, just roll up half of it and leave a tail hanging out, or a bit less. Or don't roll it up so firmly, because that's quite hard once you put your body's weight on it. Now the exercise that we just did, curling the head up, is particularly useful to balance the muscle pull between the front and the back of the neck. A lot of people who have neck pain consistently elevate the shoulders, and so they become quite developed through the upper trapezius and the levator scapulae. So by doing some of those head sit-ups each day, we start to increase the strength in the flexors and balance out the posture. When these posterior muscles are dominant, we see a posterior head tilt in the patient. I'm exaggerating it. That's a sample of what you'll see. By strengthening these, we start to straighten things up again, and that takes pressure off the nerves as they're exiting the spine.